Today we are going to be making a video. I've been asked by a lot of people, how do you make songs and stuff for both UTAU and Vocaloid? And what by that, I think people mostly mean covers, because I've only have one original on YouTube and two on Nico Nico Doga, and they don't have very many views. So I decided, since a lot of people were wondering, I would kind of show you a little bit how I do it and give you some tips and stuff on it. Since people want both UTAU and Vocaloid, I will be doing a duet song, and the song I have chosen is this up here. The English title translates something to like Cherry Blossoms in the Distant Sun or Cherry Days. It's by Pepperonpi. It's not one of his more common works, but you know, I really like it. I actually fell in love with it. I don't really like the original song too much, which is this. I like this version, which is Mako and Ruko. I think it's a very, very well done version. So I am going to do it with Gumi as Vocaloid. She's going to be taking Miku's part. Happy birthday, Miku. And Sayu Yurika, who's a UTAU, will be taking Rin's part. So let's get started, I guess, with, that's Vocaloid, no, UTAU. So the first thing I'm going to do is, normally I make a UST or a VSQ by myself. What I'll do is I'll make a MIDI in music notation software, and then I'll export it and then import the MIDI into UTAU or Vocaloid. For this one, I am using a UST by a guy on Nico Nico Doga. Go away. The reason is, because I just want to do this quickly, kind of. All of these pitch stuff, though, that are here, I did. That's not by the person on Nico Nico Doga. When I got this, it was pretty much just a MIDI with the phonemes put in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to edit, and I'm going to select all the notes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here, hit ACPT, P2, P3, and then ACPT again. That's made it so that it more fits Sayu. I'm sorry about this open new tab thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to all of it in parts. Unfortunately, when I do this, I have to be wearing headphones, so you can't hear it, but when I hear something, I will tell you what it is. So, here we go. Okay, so I noticed two things when I was listening to this. First thing is ki here is a little bit too long. It's actually going into shi over here, and that's the consonant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and hit this last one, which says property. And what I'm going to do is, this is how you deal with consonants. I am going to put in here 150 and say okay, and then I'm going to listen to it. What I've done is I've shortened the consonant. And sometimes I need to listen to it more than once. Okay, so that's it. The second thing I noticed was that U here kind of sounded weird, and that's an envelope thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to move this, and I think that might help that. With the envelopes, that's overlapping notes into each other, and I feel that this is overlapping too much. So I'm going to see what that does. That's much better. So pretty much all I do is I look for that for the entire thing, and then I will export it. the other step is tuning, and that would take me way too long to do in a video. So I'm gonna stop right here, and I will meet you back when we do the Vocaloid part. Okay. Hey guys, we're back, and now we're gonna do the Vocaloid portion of this. I haven't really done anything yet. The only thing that I've done is I've changed my singer to the default that I normally use, and I added another track for the breaths. This note here isn't going to be doing anything. I just need that in there so I can actually use the track, and after I add a note I will delete that. But I am also changing that to my singer setting, that you edit that outside of the track. So all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to listen and add breaths. So I guess let's start. Okay, that was good. So now I'm going to go ahead and see if there's anything else that needs to be added. Okay, so over here, because we have the silence here, I'm going to add a breath. So Gumi has a bunch of different breaths. I personally like breath 4. So I'm going to do that, and then I also need to open the mixer, and I just did that with F3. You can also do it under view, and make this louder. I'm gonna make it louder than it needs to be, just so I can hear it for right now, and I can fix that later. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna be doing, is adding breaths and tuning, which takes a while again. So I'll see you back when I am ready to mix. Hey guys, we're back again. As you can see, it's, if you're actually paying attention to the time, it took me about 2 hours to completely tune Gumi. It took me longer than Sayu because it's Vocaloid's pitch editor stinks compared to UTAU's in my opinion. But before we actually get on with mixing, I wanted to say a few things that I probably should have said last video or before. The first is that, as far as breaths are concerned in Vocaloid, I mean, I'm kind of spoiled because I have Gumi's breaths, and her breaths are really, really nice. But when you're putting them in, I generally like to move mine as far as in between notes. In Vocaloid, there's the little like squares that represent the beats and stuff. I like to have it one square away from each of the notes, or at least one square away from the note that it will be in front of, if that makes sense. If you're not sure, go back and look and see where I put the breaths, and it should make sense. I find that that's where they are put best. I'm sorry, it's 1:37 a.m. and I'm making this video, and I'm going to finish this. The second thing is tuning. I can't teach you how to tune. And the reason is, everybody has different ways of tuning. Some work for some people, others work for another. That's something you kind of have to do on your own and figure out what works. I find UTAU's tuning easier just because you can see it right on the note, whereas Vocaloid's is below, and I find it incredibly annoying. But yeah, that's it, just experiment around. So now I'm going to show you how I mix it. As you can see, I'm using Audacity. Yes, I use it as my main audio mixer. You don't need anything fancy if you want to mix stuff, because in my opinion, it's the person who mixes it fault. It's the person... Okay, let me try to rephrase this. The mixer makes the better work, not necessarily the program. And for what I'm going to do, this suffices. I haven't done anything. The only thing I've done is lined up the two different vocals with the off vocal. Gumi's on top, Sayu's on the bottom. Gumi's is a stereo track because hers comes from the Vocaloid engine. Sayu's is mono because it comes from UTAU. Nothing I can do about that. The first thing I'm going to do is, we're going to start with Gumi, and I'm going to mute Sayu. I'm going to compress. This is something else you need to mess with settings with. and see what works for you. After compressing, as you can see, it got a lot bigger. I'm going to equalize it. This is also something that you can mess around with. I generally find that after I do this, actually wait, then I'm going to amplify it, which is going to make it not as loud, because right now it's going to be really loud compared to the background music. I also find that when I compress and equalize, that Gumi's voice kind of gets a little tinny. That could be for a number of reasons, but I like to run a low pass filter, and I set it to 4000, which I find works well. And all that does is I find that it takes the raspiness of her voice away. After that, I'm going to apply a reverb to it. I have my own preset. I called it Heaven because I'm so creative and just because I needed a name for it. So I'm just going to put that there. If I don't like that, I will deal with it. So now that she's already, again, I'm sorry you can't hear because I have to wear headphones. I'm going to listen and see what I think. Okay, what I hear right now is that Gumi's pretty quiet compared to the off vocal, so I'm actually gonna make that softer, and we'll see what happens now. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that for now, and I'm going to do the same thing that I just did to Sayu, and I'm going to mute Gumi. So, pardon. No. Sorry. This will just take a second. I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm sorry if this is boring, guys, but this is what you asked for this. Okay, so now I've done the same exact thing to Sayu. Sayu actually sounds pretty decent at this level. Alright, so pretty much what I need to do now, which I'm not going to show because it's going to take me a pretty long time, is I have to go through and listen and amplify or de-amplify different parts of it to make it sound prettier and not menacing to the ears or loud. But a general tip is if you have two or more singers, what you want to do is you want to make them both softer because they're going to be louder together. And that's pretty much it. So that's exactly how I make videos, and this I guess I will upload in a few days. And by this I mean the song. So... 何回も悪魔から聞こえてくるこの歌を胸に秘めいつしかこの場所でまた出会えるならば日々のような記憶が余すことなく伝えろ桜舞うその地下で儚き影を探し求めた時へ